Tonight, before you settle into sleep, perhaps there is a quiet truth your heart has been waiting to hear. Maybe you have spent so many years caring for everyone around you that very few people remember to ask how you are doing. You became the dependable one, the parent who never complains, the grandmother everyone calls when life becomes difficult, the husband who quietly cares for a wife whose needs have grown greater with time, the woman who keeps the family connected, remembering birthdays, checking on loved ones, and carrying worries that belong to everyone else. And somewhere along the way, perhaps you forgot what it feels like to truly rest. You learned to smile even when you felt tired. You learned to keep going even when your shoulders felt heavy. You learned to say, "I'm okay," because there never seemed to be enough space for your own needs. Perhaps people thank you for all you do, but rarely ask how your heart is holding up. Rarely notice the loneliness that sometimes appears after the house grows quiet. Rarely see the weariness hidden behind your kindness. Yet Jesus sees it. He notices every burden you carry. He understands every silent sacrifice. He knows how long you have been strong for everyone else. And perhaps tonight, Jesus wants to speak not to the people you care for, but to the tired heart that has carried everyone for so long, for a long time. Perhaps you have become so accustomed to caring for others that you no longer remember what it feels like to simply be cared for. You have listened, encouraged, helped, comforted. You have carried responsibilities that seem to arrive one after another, rarely giving your heart permission to pause. And tonight, Jesus wants you to know that He understands, not from a distance, not as someone unfamiliar with weariness, but as one who walked among people who constantly needed Him. Crowds followed Him. People reached for Him. Families asked for healing. Friends leaned upon Him. The hurting sought comfort. The grieving sought hope. Day after day, people came with their needs, their fears, their questions, and their pain, and Jesus welcomed them with compassion. Yet He also became weary. He withdrew to quiet places. He rested. He prayed. He wept. He carried sorrow. He understood what it meant to pour out love until there seemed little left to give. Perhaps that is why you never need to explain your exhaustion to Him. You do not have to justify why you feel tired. You do not have to apologize for needing comfort. Jesus already knows. He knows what it is like to carry responsibility. He knows what it is like to feel the weight of expectations. He knows what it is like to continue loving, even while your own heart aches. And tonight, He sits beside you not with demands, but with gentleness, not asking you to be stronger, not asking you to do more, simply reminding you that you are deeply known, deeply loved. And because Jesus understands exhaustion, He also understands the wounds that exhaustion quietly leaves behind. Exhaustion has a way of leaving marks that other people rarely notice. It settles quietly inside the heart. It hides beneath routines, responsibilities, and familiar smiles. And after years of caring for others, perhaps there are wounds you have learned to carry in silence. Maybe there were seasons when you felt forgotten, times when everyone depended upon you, yet very few stopped to ask what you needed. Perhaps you felt guilty for wanting help, guilty for feeling overwhelmed, guilty for wishing someone would simply say, "You do not have to do this alone." Maybe resentment appeared for a moment, only to be quickly pushed aside because there was still another phone call to answer, another appointment to attend, another person depending on you. And somewhere beneath all of that responsibility, there may also be grief. Grief for dreams that were postponed, for plans that never happened, for years that passed more quickly than expected, children who are grown now, parents who are no longer here, friends whose voices have become memories, energy that once seemed endless, but now feels precious. Yet expectations often remain. People still look to you. People still rely upon your strength. And perhaps tonight, in this quiet moment, Jesus lovingly invites you to stop pretending that you are not tired, to simply admit what your heart has known for a long time. I am weary. I have been carrying too much. I need comfort too. There is no shame in saying those words. There is no weakness in acknowledging your need for rest. Perhaps the first miracle Jesus wants to give you tonight is permission to stop carrying tomorrow before tomorrow arrives. Tomorrow has a way of arriving early in the minds of those who have spent years caring for others. Even as the night becomes quiet, thoughts continue moving, wondering about adult children, thinking about grandchildren, remembering upcoming appointments, considering finances, praying over health concerns, worrying about loved ones who live far away, questioning what the future might hold. And perhaps you have become so accustomed to carrying these concerns that they feel like part of who you are. Yet tonight, Jesus gently invites you to loosen your grip, not all at once, not through effort, but little by little, as though opening your hands after holding something heavy for a very long time. Imagine yourself sitting beside him now. The room is peaceful, the day is behind you, and Jesus extends his hands toward you with kindness. No disappointment, no pressure, only compassion, one burden at a time. You begin placing your worries into his care, your concerns about family, your fears about aging, your questions about tomorrow, the loneliness that sometimes visits after everyone else has gone home, the uncertainty that appears in the middle of the night. You do not need to rush. There is time, there is grace, there is understanding, and as your hands slowly open, perhaps your shoulders begin to soften, your breathing becomes gentler. The tightness you have carried within your chest begins to ease, because God remains awake while you sleep. He watches over the people you love. He cares for the future you cannot control. And once our hands open, Jesus lovingly receives what we were never meant to carry alone. And perhaps there is something deeply comforting about realizing that you do not have to hold everything together anymore. For so many years, being responsible became part of your identity. People depended on you. They trusted your strength. They leaned on your wisdom. And little by little, you may have begun believing that if you stopped carrying everyone, everything might somehow fall apart. But tonight, Jesus speaks with tenderness to the part of you that has grown weary. You do not have to solve every problem. You do not have to anticipate every need. You do not have to carry the weight of every outcome. You are loved even when you rest. You are cherished even when you are quiet. Your value has never been measured by how much you sacrifice. You are more than what you provide. You are more than the role you have fulfilled for so many years. You are God's beloved child. And perhaps, in this peaceful moment, you can imagine placing certain burdens into his hands. The regret over things you wish had gone differently. The fear of what tomorrow may bring. The pressure to remain strong at all times. The caretaker within you, who has forgotten how to receive care, the unanswered prayers you still carry close to your heart. Jesus receives each one with compassion. He does not rush you. He does not ask you to be stronger. He simply invites you to rest beside him, to trust that his shoulders are broader than yours, that his love reaches farther than your worries. And after surrender comes something many caregivers have not felt in years. The gentle reminder that God still has promises waiting for them too. For so long, your days may have been filled with giving your time, giving your energy, giving your attention, giving your love, and perhaps, without realizing it, you began to believe that everyone else deserved care more than you did. But tonight, Jesus gently reminds you that his promises belong to you as well, not only to those you have prayed for, not only to the people you have supported, but to your own weary heart. He promises renewed strength for those who feel tired, peace for those whose thoughts continue long after the lights are turned out, comfort for those who have carried silent grief, guidance for those uncertain about what lies ahead, provision for seasons that feel unfamiliar, and rest for souls that have been striving for far too long. Perhaps no one has noticed every sacrifice you have made, the meals prepared, the appointments attended, the sleepless nights spent worrying, the long phone calls, the encouraging words offered when your own heart needed encouragement, the moments you set aside your own needs because someone else seemed to need you more. Yet none of it escaped the loving attention of God. He noticed every act of kindness, every hidden prayer, every tear that remained unseen, every burden quietly lifted for someone else's sake. Nothing was wasted, nothing was forgotten, nothing was insignificant. The years you spent serving others mattered. The love you poured out mattered. The faithfulness you showed mattered. And perhaps tonight, as you sit in the stillness of this peaceful hour, you can allow yourself to receive what you have spent so much of your life giving away. Because God delights in caring for those who have spent years caring for everyone else. And when we begin believing His promises, old memories no longer carry the same weight they once did. Memories have a gentle way of visiting us in the quiet hours of the evening. Perhaps they arrive unexpectedly. A familiar song, a photograph resting on a shelf, a holiday tradition that feels different now, the sound of laughter remembered from years ago, and suddenly, you are standing once again in moments that shaped your life. You remember parents whose voices once filled the house, children who seemed so small, running through hallways that now feel quieter, a husband or wife whose younger face still lives vividly within your heart, dreams you hope to pursue someday, but set aside because someone else needed you first, prayers that seemed delayed, plans that changed, seasons that unfolded differently than you imagined. For many years, perhaps these memories have carried a touch of sadness, a sense of what was lost, a longing for what cannot be returned. But tonight, Jesus gently walks beside you through those sacred places, not to erase them, not to pretend they did not hurt, but to bring peace where regret once lived, to bring comfort where guilt once lingered, to remind you that love was present in every sacrifice you made, that your caring heart was never wasted, that the years you spent serving, nurturing, supporting, and protecting others were filled with meaning. Perhaps, instead of sorrow, gratitude begins to appear. Gratitude for the people you loved, for the moments you shared, for the memories that remain as quiet treasures within your heart, and little by little, what once felt heavy becomes softer. What once felt painful becomes tender. What once felt empty becomes touched by grace. And as old memories soften, the atmosphere around us begins to change as well. Perhaps you can sense it even now. A quietness settling over your home. A gentle stillness arriving without effort. The concerns of the day no longer demanding your attention. The responsibilities waiting patiently until morning. The night becoming softer around you. Imagine God's peace moving through your home like a warm and comforting light, flowing gently into the bedroom where you now rest, through the hallway that has carried so many footsteps over the years, into the kitchen where meals were lovingly prepared and conversations unfolded, past family photographs that tell the story of a life filled with giving, over windows that have witnessed changing seasons, over empty chairs that still hold precious memories, and perhaps, for the first time in a long while, you allow yourself to believe that this home does not depend entirely upon your strength. God is here, watching, protecting, caring. His presence rests over your family, over children living nearby, over grandchildren growing and learning, over loved ones who may be many miles away, over friends carrying burdens of their own, over neighbors who also long for peace, even over the pets who faithfully bring companionship and comfort. There is no striving here tonight, no urgency, no pressure to fix what cannot be fixed before sunrise. Only the quiet assurance that the one who never sleeps is lovingly watching over all that matters to you. And as this peaceful presence settles into every corner of your home, perhaps your breathing becomes slower, your shoulders feel lighter, your thoughts become quieter, because you are safe, you are held, you are not carrying this life by yourself. And now, as the night grows quieter, Jesus draws even closer to speak comfort directly to your weary heart. And perhaps this is the moment when your heart no longer needs to strive. The moment when you can simply stop rehearsing tomorrow. Stop carrying responsibilities into the night. Stop feeling as though your worth depends upon how much you can do for others. For so many years, you have shown up for people. You have listened, encouraged, supported, protected. You have remained faithful through seasons that were beautiful and seasons that were deeply difficult. And tonight, Jesus looks upon you with tenderness and says softly, "You have done enough. You do not need to prove your value to me. You do not need to earn my love. You do not have to keep performing. You do not have to stay strong every moment. Tonight, simply be my child. Simply allow yourself to be loved. Allow yourself to receive what you have spent so many years giving away. Perhaps there is a part of your heart that still feels responsible for everything, a part that fears resting, a part that wonders if letting go means letting others down. But Jesus gently quiets those fears. He reminds you that His care is constant, His strength never fades, His love never grows weary. And while you sleep, He continues working, He continues protecting, He continues guiding, He continues holding your family, your future, and your unanswered prayers within His loving hands. So let your breathing become slower now. Allow your shoulders to relax. Let your thoughts drift like clouds moving peacefully across the evening sky. Release expectations. Release performance. Release responsibility. Receive peace. Receive gentleness. Receive rest. And with every breath becoming softer, we enter this final prayer, allowing our hearts to rest completely in the presence of Jesus. Jesus, thank you for seeing the burdens that nobody else noticed. Thank you for understanding the weariness I rarely speak about. Thank you for loving me through seasons when I kept giving, even when I felt empty inside. Thank you for staying close when I felt forgotten. Thank you for remaining faithful when I was tired. Tonight, I place into your hands everything I have been carrying for so long. The worries about my family, the concerns about tomorrow, the questions I cannot answer, the responsibilities that have felt too heavy, the grief that still visits unexpectedly, the expectations I have placed upon myself, and the quiet belief that I always have to be strong. Teach me to rest. Teach me to trust. Teach me that my worth is not found in how much I accomplish, how much I sacrifice, or how many problems I solve. Remind me that I am loved simply because I belong to you. Cover my family with peace. Cover my children and grandchildren with peace. Cover my home with peace. Cover my memories with peace. Cover my weary heart with peace. And tonight, while I sleep, remind me that you are still working, still loving, still guiding, still protecting, still carrying what I can no longer carry. Thank you for every act of kindness you noticed, every sacrifice you remembered, every tear you collected, every prayer you heard. Help me release this day now. Help me release tomorrow. Help me release the need to hold everything together. And in its place, fill me with your gentle presence. Fill me with stillness. Fill me with comfort. Fill me with perfect peace. Amen. You have spent many years being strong for others, but tonight, dear friend, Jesus invites you to simply rest, to breathe deeply, to soften your heart, to let yourself be cared for, to let yourself be loved, and to sleep peacefully, knowing that you are safely held in His hands.